Epic Gaming Night is made possible by the support of patrons like you. And welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Roy Canny, and with me, as always, is Rob.
Hello, everybody. How are we doing
is it
tonight?
going?
Man, it's going good.
Awesome.
Going good. Just busy working, trying to be productive, trying to make this money so I can buy more board games and pay for a daughter. But all's good.
Hey, is your video messed up on your side? 'Cause it's not coming through over here.
What?
There we go. Hype. Awesome. Well, Matt couldn't be with us today because he's having computer issues again. But luckily, his computer didn't catch on fire this time. So, but the struggle is real. But we miss you, Matt.
We do miss Matt.
It's sad. We're gonna have at least we're gonna have to throw some extra yes in there just to make our quota.
Hey, Emerson's on the chat. What's up, man?
Awesome. Yeah, we did a battle report. We talked about it last week. We did a battle report for Rune Wars that just went up on the Dice Tower today. Man, it's pretty silly. It's pretty awesome. So it's got a lot of good response, so I'm pretty excited about it so far. But
I had fun with it.
We played the game, and it's not really a playthrough of the game. It's a battle report, and we talk about what we're feeling at the end of each round. And we have fun. We have fun. So awesome. But today, on that same topic, we're going to be talking about miniatures games. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the news and what we've been playing. So the first thing I want to talk about, have you seen this game? I know it just got announced. Kemplar 3042. It is from Renegade Games, and it is their space exploration game. I'm not sure if it's exactly like 4X because I didn't see anything in the thing about combat and stuff like that. But Renegade Games makes a ton of really good games. Like they made Sentient, and they made Clank, and they've just got this huge list of amazing games. So I'm really excited to see the game they're going to come out with in the space exploration genre. Like the little press release they had about it talked about exploring planets and upgrading your technology to explore planets better and stuff like that. So and the cover art on this looks really cool, so I'm excited to see what all that is about. Hopefully we can get more info at Gen Con. But yeah, space exploration, straight up my alley. So
Oh, man. Sorry about that. I had to fix. I had some mad glare going on.
Awesome. Well, I guess we can go ahead and jump right into what we've been playing.
Do you want to talk about what we've been playing, though? Because the game I'm going to talk about, I kind of wrecked you guys.
that would be worth it to talk about. I mean, we've talked about it before, right? So
yeah. So we played Champions of Midgard. Matt backed it on Kickstarter. He backed the expansions that recently came out on Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And for those that listened to our show not too long ago, you know that I got to demo the expansions at Dice Tower Con. So I was a little familiar with what was going on. Surprising though, Matt did get second place in the game. I thought Roy would have done a little bit better. Rob is not humble, not always, sometimes, but not when it comes to beating Roy and other people at board games, because it's an achievement.
Yeah.
But I scored 217 points when we played Champions of Midgard, and it was technically it was 217, but in reality I scored 238 points. It's just I had 6+ blame tokens on me. Because I had this quest where I needed to have the most blame.
Well, you obviously didn't score that many points if you lose that many points.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. So technically it was 217. But if you don't have the blame tokens in there.
But you had the blame tokens, and you can't not have the blame tokens because you had 30 million of them.
I did, but any more than 6. I think I had 11. Yeah. Any more than 6, it's just 21+. And 217. I never thought I would get that high in a game of Champions of Midgard.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if like just completely ignoring blame and going just 100% for quest is probably a good thing all the time.
Well, see, the quest, is that the one where you have to get one of each color?
I mean, that's just the game in general. You always have to do that.
I went hard for that every single round, but the first round, I killed at least 2 monsters.
Right.
And so at the end, if you do 2 monsters per round, you will do at least 16 monsters, right? So I think one round I killed 3 because there was another round I only killed 1. But anyway, I ended up completing where you get the color sets of the red, the blue, and the yellow. I ended up completing 5 of those, which that's a lot. So, I mean, I was slaying monsters like crazy. I just never went for...
Would you say, since this is very Eurogamey, that having played the game a bunch gave you an edge up on the game?
No.
Just one of the things you complain about in Eurogames all the time, and it worked out for you.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I didn't do anything crazy. Like, my only strategy was to kill stuff.
You killed the giants over and over and over again, and those guys give you a ton of points. The cards, like, we were all afraid of the cards that could come in there, but you weren't necessarily as afraid because you kind of knew a little bit of what was going on in there more than we were. And then,
here's the thing.
And also, when you kill those guys, you get more units back, so you don't have to worry about going on different spaces to get more stuff. So, I mean, there was solid strategy in that, and I'm just like, that seemed good. But, of course, you had a card that was making you kind of go that way, too. So.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like, I will say the strategy of just ignoring the blame tokens was actually pretty spot on because I can't remember which round if it was maybe round 5 or round 6, but I really love the expansions to the game, right?
Yeah.
And one of the expansions, the Valhalla expansion, you can buy these cards. As you turn in lost souls of your fallen warriors.
Yeah.
Well, I got this one card, and it was like the Loki compass, and I could just ignore any journey card. You know, the one that you flip over before you go fight a monster?
Yeah.
I could just ignore it, but in doing so, I had to take a blame token.
You also got to fight a bunch of like high point Duragar that like the only downside is they gave you blame tokens and you didn't care about that already. And you killed like 3 of those guys. So it's just like...
And they were all 9 points each.
And you never had to worry about your guys dying from those guys. So...
Yeah. So just killing those 3 alone was 27 points.
Yeah.
And then not worrying about the blame. So killing that took care of the blame plus 6 points.
I think there should be a rule if you get a certain number of blame, then the villagers just kill you and you just lose the game.
No, listen, man. Nobody wanted to fight my army because I was on point. I was absolutely on point.
I think you broke the game. So I'm calling Josh right now. Hey, Josh, Rob broke the game. Not playing your game anymore until you fix this blame issue.
No. Anyway, it was just a lot of fun. I really like Champions of Midgard. I don't know if I will
play it too.
I don't know if I'll play it without the expansions ever again. I mean, I will if I'm on a deserted island and nobody has the expansions for Champions of Midgard. But they're just so much fun. And it's just the dice.
And like, that playmat is ridiculously awesome.
That playmat is huge. Adam, I know you said you haven't set yours up yet. It is huge. It is so nice. And it fits everything on the board.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed that.
Awesome.
So that was the game we played. Are you going to talk about Viral?
No, I think I want to talk about a game that we played back at Dice Tower Con because I know you played it too. But we played Downforce. This is a game coming out from Restoration Games. I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast yet. This is a game where it's like racing cars. When I saw it, I was like, oh, racing cars, okay, whatever. But we were kind of sitting at a table and it just came out. So, because I'm not normally like a huge like racing fan, but this game is not really about racing the cars around as much as it is of betting on the different cars, because technically you're all playing as millionaires. You technically have a car that is the car that is owned by you, but that car doesn't have to win for you to win the game. There's all these cards you get at the beginning of the game, and you bid on the different characters or which color car you're going to get, and how much you bid goes is subtracted from your in-game score. So if you bid low enough and try to get the right car, you're trying to get cars that you can match the colors that you have in your hand. During the game, each person will take turns playing cars that will not only move, or cards that will not only move your car, but will move a lot of other cards. It's basically just lines of the different numbers of how many spaces they move and each different color. And you're trying to kind of like move all the cars, but also create these bottlenecks and like get cars stuck behind other cars, so that way you can move your car ahead, or the car you're trying to make win ahead, and then block the other cars in the back. And there are 3 different points. As soon as a car crosses that point, then people say which car they think they're going to win. And depending on which round it is, like if you bet or guess the winning car at the very first round of that betting cycle, you'll get more money. Then you'll get to the second part of the track, and then you're allowed to guess again which car you think you're going to win. Then you'll get to the third part of the track, and you're allowed to guess again which car you think you're going to win. So you're trying to guess the right car, and also if your car wins, you get some extra points. And once all the cars get across the thing, then everybody reveals the people that they actually bet on and which car they were actually trying to win. And then you tally up the amount of millions of dollars that you made for betting the correct on the correct car and such. And yeah, the first time we played this game, I was like, man, I don't really know what's going on. The second time I played this game, it was a lot different, because like I kind of knew, okay, well, you don't necessarily have to bid on your car, or hey, you got to try to set up these bottlenecks and try to get your car to go around, all this stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting game, and it's done by Restoration Games, so they're restoring one of the older games. I know it's by a designer that I've heard his name of before. Somebody in chat's going to be like, oh my goodness, and yell it out or something. But I
mean, type it out.
Type it out. Same thing. They yell it out in real life, but type it out on the computer. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, definitely a super interesting game. Really lightweight. Like really simple, really easy, like could easily be played like with families and such, or just like casual game of, oh yeah, we're just betting on these cars going around the track. Cute little like Indy cars and cute little racetrack and all that. But yeah, Downforce was pretty interesting. What did you think about the game, Rob? Because I know you played a couple times with me.
I liked it. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was fun. I don't know if I would necessarily buy the game.
Yeah.
But like if I was at a con or something like that, or at a gameplay and people wanted to play, I'd give it another shot. I liked also the group that we played with. Because I can't remember that one chick. She just wanted to be the black car.
Oh, and so like Nicole,
we're stopping her from trying to get the black car and stuff like that. And so it was fun, the group that we played with, because it was kind of like a, hey, we don't care, we're just here to have fun. And so it was like a take that type of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, that is kind of what the game is like literally like, hey, we're just blocking certain people because you can.
And so I enjoyed it. It was fun. But yeah, I don't know if I would buy it. But yeah, fun game. I also, side note, I do like what Restoration is doing and stuff like that. Bringing out some classics and stuff. I hope, though, in the future that they kind of buff up some games rather than just reprint them, maybe with new artwork, but actually,
I mean, they are doing new artwork on all the stuff.
But I'm saying like buff up the rules, like maybe fix some things that were broken.
Yeah, they are doing that as well too. So
okay,
are you trying to say the game's broken, Rob?
Well, no, it's not that. Well, I'm just saying it was simple.
Say it's simple.
Like the game was fun. It was cute. It was a nice filler game. I think we played each game in under 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. And so it was fun, but it wasn't anything. If that's how the original game was. For example, Modern Art, when we played that at Cool Mini or Not Expo, I didn't play with you, but from the people that I did play with and from the CMON people, they said that's basically an exact reprint, like just newer art, but reprint. But I really like that game, so I didn't think it needed to have anything fixed. But here's what I'm hoping. If Restoration Games continues to do this, and let's say they come out with some like amazing games, like a new Hero Quest or something like that, I hope they don't do it like the Nintendo NES Classic Edition. Like if you're going to come out with some great old games, come out strong with your quantity, because that's one of the things. And the only reason I'm bringing up the NES Classic is because I just got an email from GameStop. Hey, text this to this, and you might get an NES Classic, but you will definitely get 1,000 text messages from our suppliers. Anyway, I just really want an NES Classic, and so I'm hoping if I say Restoration Games is really good, Rob Davio will buy me an NES Classic.
I'm so sure that's how that works.
I just want to play like the old Mario Brothers and all that kind of stuff. I tried to buy it, and I even got to Best Buy one day, like at 7 o'clock in the morning. Line was already around the store, and they only had like 20 copies, so I knew I didn't get one. Anyway, it was fun. Downforce is fun.
Early enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was one game you could see remade by Restoration Games, what do you think it would be? Like an old school game?
Like an old school game? Well, here's the thing, though. Like, my old school games that I played were like Risk, right?
Dude, Thunder Road, man. You have to say Thunder Road. That's the correct
answer.
No,
here's the thing. I don't want Restoration. I want that to be Stephen Avery, because like he plays that. He brings that to every single con that he goes to.
Yeah.
And I would just love for that to be Stephen Avery. Which, speaking of Stephen Avery, did you hear about his Rubber Banditos thing?
Oh, yeah. I guess his Rubber Banditos 2.0 or whatever. I heard
it just got signed on with the company, and they're going to be doing reprinting it and stuff like that. So Thunder Road would be cool. I mean, it is just a cool game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to do it.
Nice.
Boom.
Awesome.
Have you already done the news?
Yeah. Is there something else you wanted to add to the news?
Well, yeah. And I'm only doing this because it's happening this weekend, but shout out, we're going to Mega MooseCon.
Hype!
August 5th. Now, Mega MooseCon, I believe, is going on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. However, don't go those days. We're only going to be there the 5th. Go the 5th.
Only go the day we're going to be there?
Only go the day that we're going to be there. I mean, the 4th, Mark is still going to be scrambling to get all of his candies and love chocolates ready for Roy with all the roses and stuff like that.
That's terrifying.
And by then, he will probably have enough cologne on to be able to mask any other type of body sweat he's got going on from the nervousness of seeing his lover. And then August 6th, he'll be too tired from kissing all over Roy. So go August 5th. Go the 5th. It's going to be a lot of fun. Mega MooseCon. It is right on the North Carolina-South Carolina border. If you've got a chance to come out, it's a good size space. They've got good food trucks, and it's not a very expensive con at all. And it's a lot of fun. So give them a chance and try it out. It's starting 6 p.m. on August, so that stinks. They're not even doing it all day on August 4th. So just go August 5th. They start at 6 o'clock at night, August 4th. Who wants to go for a couple of hours? No, go August 5th. Go all day, and we're gonna have a good time.
Awesome.
And yeah, are you ready? You know, Roy, that there's still no cure for herpes, right? Like, so got to be careful with Mark. Don't let him touch it too much.
I'm
no
terrified, Rob.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, but that should be fun. We're gonna play some games there and hang out with the people.
Hey, side note: nobody responded to my text message.
Well, since I'm doing Mega MooseCon and then I also have Gen Con the week after that, I probably can't.
No, I understand that, but the people that asked to have that happen have not responded.
Well, you know, it's the MO, man. That's their MO.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Anyway, Adam Sparkles would respond if I would text him.
Dude, that's what
probably not.
Y'all just have. Rob's just inviting people to cabins in the woods all the time. That's not how horror movies start at all.
No, not at all. We're gonna have so much fun.
Everybody come to my cabin in the woods.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, our topic tonight is going to be about miniatures games. Seeing that we just had our battle report from Rune Wars. So, Rob, what miniatures games have you actually played?
Okay, I've definitely played Warhammer. I've played Warhammer.
Regular Warhammer or 40K?
I believe. Actually,
fantasy?
I believe just 40K.
Okay, because I've never played fantasy.
I've seen people play fantasy. Mm-hmm. I almost got into a game, but did not. And then I have played Rune Wars from Fantasy Flight, mm-hmm. and I can't remember the other miniature game. Give me 1 second. You talk about the games you played. I'll be able to tell you in a minute.
You gotta go look it up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I played Necrons in 40K.
We played freaking oh yeah, I take that back. HeroClix is a miniature game.
Yeah,
we
definitely.
played HeroClix. And I've also played Star Wars X-Wing and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. What faction did you play in 40K?
In 40K, oh bro, I was the IG. I was the IG all the way.
Imperials or whatever?
Oh yeah, the Imperial Guard.
Gotcha.
Oh man, had so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Playing the IG, and what is the name of this other game? I can't remember this other game. It was one where it was kind of like War Machine and Hordes. That's it, War Machine. I have played a couple
played
rounds.
War Machine?
Yeah, I've played a couple rounds of War Machine. But I was still big into playing 40K at the time,
Gotcha.
and War Machine was just coming out, and so the store that I used to go to all the time in Arkansas had a demo copy, and so I remember playing a couple, and I was like, I'd rather throw out 300 little miniatures rather than like my 5 or 6 here. So,
gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, I played 40K for a little while. I spent way more time like researching and army building and painting than ever like actually playing the game. I had a friend that I went to Bible camp with that got me into Warhammer 40K. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I played the Necrons because they are all like skeletons and undead, kind of like what I do in Rune Wars. But yeah, I ended up getting like a lot of it. Like I had 2. They had these like giant like floating like green and black pyramid things. I had like a couple of those. I had like tons and tons and tons of it. And then I played a couple of games, and then I was like, meh, it's fine. The rules for 40K back in the day is like, it seemed like people spent like 50% of the time arguing about the rules and like 50% of the time actually playing the game. I don't know if it was like that in your groups.
Yeah, and we can get into that. But some of the things that we spent our time arguing was exact measurements.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about like less than a millimeter away. Is it touching? Is it not touching? If you look at it from this angle, it's touching, but at this angle, it's. I mean, and if anybody were to even bump the table or anything, they would definitely be touching. There was a lot of
Can
arguments.
you fit a hair in between them?
Yeah, and then like, is the base just barely even whiffing besides any type of mountain object or building object, so it gets the double cover and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I played that. I played HeroClix a ton. Like when HeroClix first came out, like I got on board, and that was like 15 years ago. And I played in a lot of tournaments for that. And HeroClix is like the superhero version. They had DC and Marvel like when they first came out, so you could play these DC and Marvel characters against each other, but it's all like on a grid instead of actually being like measuring and things like that. I've played X-Wing, which is pretty interesting. I had a ton of fun with X-Wing when it first came out, like being like, oh man, I can have Luke and like Vader and like trying to build all these different armies. And then when I played the game, it was mostly just like flying around in circles and missing each other most of the time. Yeah. And every time I've played X-Wing, that's what it feels like. Oh yeah, we line up the shot and miss, and line up the shot and miss. And I'm sure there's enough stuff out there to like minimize the randomness of missing so much, but I feel like I had a lot more fun like looking at the models and building armies than actually playing the game.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited like for this. Not saying that I want to get off right now, but I just had some minis come in, and I just want to paint. So like, that's awesome. I just want to put on The Office as my background music and just paint. So I'm definitely with you on that.
I played Armada, but I only played like the intro box of Armada, and I liked it better than X-Wing. And then, oh my goodness. And then, I had played Rune Wars, of course, and I like that better than X-Wing and Armada, even though they all use I think X-Wing and Rune Wars are more similar in the movement than Armada is. But yeah, what was I going to say? As far as other miniatures games go, I've probably played like some other random ones around here and there. But yeah, Netters in chat was asking what a miniatures game is, and normally I would say like Hobby Miniatures War Games or whatever is a game where basically the main component is just straight up miniatures, and then normally there's dice that you roll for combat, but not necessarily. You have like Warhammer and Warhammer 40k, and the way it works is you have armies normally. You get a certain number of points that you're going to play a game for. Like say, okay, we're going to play a 200-point game. Each unit has different values for the different units, and you can get different like upgrades and different things. I know in like Warhammer, you have to have like there's all sorts of different guns and stuff you can put on your guys, but you have to have those guns specifically like glued to your guy to be able to say they're actually having that gun. So you spend a lot of times, and there's a huge like hobby aspect to miniatures as well, as far as like painting and gluing and assembling a lot of the times depending on the game. HeroClix wasn't that way because it's all pre-painted and pre-assembled models with little click dials on the bottom.
HeroClix is so much fun, man.
But yeah, but HeroClix still has the whole like points and building your army and building your team and stuff like that. So you build your army, build your team and all that stuff, and then you have different rule sets depending on the game to basically just duke it out in like straight up combat with each other most of the time. Sometimes there's scenarios. A lot of them will be like, oh, you have to sit on a specific objective and you get points like King of the Hill sort of thing, or hey, there's a certain unit and you have to like take out that unit. Just different things like that. There'll be like several different scenarios. Rune Wars has a ton of different scenarios where you're either like trying to steal artifacts back and forth from each other, or there's a specific unit that's trying to get to the other side of the board. You have to try to kill that unit off. There's all sorts of different rule sets, but it's basically like you try to defeat the other people's guys, straight up face-to-face combat. X-Wing is very much the same way. You just have guys and you build a team with all sorts of cool little upgrades, and you use little movement templates to move around. I think the main way miniatures games work is either you have grids, you use measuring tapes to move, or you use like templates like in X-Wing and stuff. But there's all sorts of different varieties of miniatures games, and it's a completely different category apart from board games, I would think, because majority of these games are lifestyle games, I would think, because normally a lot of people don't play tons of different miniatures games, or at least not competitively. A lot of them people are like, I play this one miniatures game and this is the game that I'm all about, you know.
Yep.
Is that a good enough explanation of miniatures games, do you think?
I've been typing in the chat, so yes.
Awesome, good. What's your take on like army building for these different games?
Oh, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it because it's like it's customizable.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy it because it's like I can try different strategies. Like I was saying in chat, I'm not into play like these mini games for tournaments or anything like that. I just want to play and have fun, and I want to try new crazy things, like a whole army of just Lancers or a whole army of a mix of different stuff. But I like the customization of the points, especially when you add in the cards that add in abilities. It's just it's a lot of fun. To me, it takes it to the next level, rather than just saying that guy is this and this guy's that. It's like, all right, you can really, if you really wanted to, you could really fine tune your craft and be able to assemble a really. It
kind of gives you a little bit of like that deck building feel in like collectible card games or LCGs.
That's a great analogy.
But it's your army building basically. You have a certain number of points for your different guys, and certain number of upgrades will cost different points. I feel like most all of them use like that same sort of thing, like point buy systems, where it's like, okay, I have these many points. Do I want to do a bunch of small units, or do I want to do some big units? And you're basically building your strategy for your game, kind of what you want to do before the game even starts, you know? It's like, hey, I'm trying to build, okay, I'm going to have these guys, and like maybe these guys will help like protect this guy, and this guy will do these crazy special abilities to buff these guys. You're trying to build this whole strategy like before you ever play the game, if you ever do play the game. I think half the fun in these games is trying to switch things out and see how you can make the points work for the amount of points you're playing with.
Yep.
I definitely think like that's one of the main reasons like I loved collectible card games back in the day. I used to just sit out with like my deck with all my different cards and be like, okay, like would my deck be more efficient if I take this one card out and add this one card in? And it's very much the same way in miniatures. It's like, okay, this unit has these stats, this unit has these stats. How can I min-max this the best way I can? And that's one thing that you don't really have in board games, because they're not like you set them on the table, you play the board game, and then you're done, unless it's like a legacy sort of game. And even in those, you don't really like build the game outside of playing the game, you know. So it's interesting. It's kind of like building your army is like its own solo game where you're trying to min-max everything, you know. But I definitely enjoy army building and stuff. Is there a certain type of like strategy you would normally go with in like different army builds or different things like that, or you just like to try crazy stuff?
It depends on what I'm going for. It depends on what mood I'm in, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Like if I were to ever go to a miniatures tournament, which I think would be fun. Like I like going to the old Friday Night Magic tournaments and stuff. I like, you know, to see how bad I am and have it scaled on local competition. Yeah. But typically I just I like history, and I like war history. You know, because typically one of the good things about war, and not that there are good things about war, but one of the good things that happen around war, if you check out history, every time there were major wars, there was also major advancements in technology. And so, you know, it brings out the terrible and stuff. But anyway, I like to build armies depending on like the war that I'm thinking about. To see if I can match that unit. Like sometimes I'll think about, like, let's just say the Romans, they were fantastic conquerors. Yeah. You know, like for example, I just got in a big order of Rune Wars. You know, I'm probably going to go with a lot of spearmen in my Rune Wars army to start off, just because like I imagine seeing those legions of Romans just like marching across the field at their enemy and stuff like that. Now in the game, spearmen are probably some of the cheapest, weakest units out there, and they really don't do a lot unless you can hit with all of them. But for me, thematically, it's like, wow, this is awesome. Like, imagine if I was on the other side of the battle and I just saw this huge sea of infantry walking my way. That'd be really cool. So, yeah, it all just depends on what I'm thinking and going for at the time, and also depends on the type of game that you're playing. For example, Rune Wars, I'll think more medieval style. But there are some mini games where they have more modern aspects and stuff to it. So
yeah, another thing about these games is that there's like tons and tons of special abilities like for stuff, and I really like to try to figure out how to best utilize the different stuff. Like when our last game of Rune Wars that we played, I had this like wizard in there that if people had blight tokens, then he could deal damage to units equal to the number of stable runes, which could either be 1 or 2 depending on how they rolled. And I was like, I don't know if this is good, but it seems like a fun thing to do. So I was trying to get a lot of blight on you so I could continue to do that. It didn't necessarily work out as much because my guy that gave blight died immediately to some horses.
Bro, those horses wrecked you.
Dude, yeah, they did. But yeah, it's interesting to like look at the different things and be like, okay, this cool special ability, I'm going to try to build some stuff around that and see if I can figure out how to make that work, or figure out how to break that sort of thing or make that sort of thing work. I know in HeroClix, I was a huge fan of hypersonic speed, so I used to play with tons of like, I would always have like this beast character with hypersonic speed, and then I would have a character with telekinesis. Hypersonic speed allows you to like move, make an attack, and then move again. So I'd play with like Shazam, who's like really strong with hypersonic speed, or Superman, or the Black Adam. These are all like DC characters that are like really strong and could hit people really hard, but I would use somebody else who had like telekinesis. I had a team that was like Shazam and Magneto has telekinesis, so he could move the one guy up and he would run up and hit like their strongest character as hard as they can, and like try to almost like completely cripple them and knock them out of the game, and then he would run away and hide. So I just had these like weird strategies of
Cable does that, man.
Yeah
man,
I try to have these strategies of being able to jump, like extend my units further than they thought I could get, because it's like, oh man, they weren't calculating the 10 spaces I could go with telekinesis, and then the other like 14 spaces this character could move. They probably they normally wouldn't realize that I could like reach them in that time. So it was a lot of fun like setting that up and being like, I'm gonna jump on them. And I played in a bunch of different tournaments and did crazy stuff like that all the time. And then had good range characters, so when they ran up on my Magneto, he could like shoot them and stuff. I had like tons of different strategies of different things I'd do, and I'd spend a lot of times like looking at the different characters being like, should I use this character, should I use this character, this guy has these stats, this guy has this stat. And a lot of this too is looking up other characters online being like, oh man, I need to get that character because he'd be perfect for this army or perfect for this team, you know. So there's a lot of strategizing and stuff like that in miniatures as well. Awesome. So I guess we've kind of already talked about this. Are what specific games have you built armies for before?
I built an army, even though it was under a lot of pressure in Rune Wars. I didn't have a lot of time to do it. And then I built armies for Warhammer 40K. And I did not build the armor for the War Machine Hordes game that I played. And then I also built armies for HeroClix.
Yeah.
So I would say the majority of the games that I've played, I built armies for and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Like I remember doing my IG stuff and like playing against this guy who played in tournaments, who actually played in like the big stuff. Yeah. And he'd look at my army set and he would just like laugh. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Bro, I just literally have a hamburger meat shield. And I'm just going to try to get in one shot."
That is one of the things I hated about Warhammer 40K is like, okay, I'm new to the game or like I'm not super experienced in the game, and you put your army on the board and they're immediately making fun of you.
Yeah. I didn't care. Because you know me, I will talk right back. Like, I don't care. But like, yeah, my army's terrible, but you're ugly.
I mean, at least you have that attitude about it. I was like...
In a nice way. Like, I'm not going to let somebody ruin my day or anything like that. I mean... I'm a nice person. I don't curse or anything like that. I don't like just totally rip into people or anything like that. But if somebody wants to be a jerk and laugh at something, like, you know what? Forget you, man. Like, you know what?
Especially when you're like, this is just a pickup game. This is not a tournament.
Yeah,
it's not that
let me
big
try
a
this
deal.
out. And if I'm playing against a kid, I'll be like, well, at least I get to drive home. Don't have to call my parents.
Nice.
I don't know.
What do you think the biggest barrier to entry into these miniatures games is?
Two things. One, and the first and foremost, money.
Yes. None of them are cheap. Not even one. They're all really expensive.
And then the second thing is the thought process. Because here's the thing about miniature games.
Yeah.
There are a lot of rules to a miniature game, right? There are a lot of rules, but it's also an open canvas. Like, you're not really set on limitations of hexes or anything like that, depending on the type of game you play. Now, for HeroClix, yes, you are, because you have that diagram of your board. But, for example, we played Rune Wars. We were set to go anywhere we basically wanted to go on the map.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the things that's kind of like a downside for people when they see that is the possibility of analysis paralysis. Because when you put
you can't determine everything, you know?
Well, and yeah, you can't determine everything, especially for a game like Rune Wars where your movement are already pre-measured, you know, before you do anything. So you don't really get to react because you're picking your moves first.
Yep.
So then you have to think about it even more. Like, all right, what's my team going to do? What's their team going to do type of a thing. I think just for a lot of people, that seems like, you know what, I'd rather play a game like Blood Rage, and I just know I can go to one of 4 spaces and let's just fight. You know, so I think it's money and too much responsibility.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you're looking at like the Warhammer 40K like codexes and rule books, and like there's 37 rules and 33 different things. Like I said, I saw a lot of people arguing over the rules more than even playing the game. Like, I'd go into the Warhammer store and like they're like, oh man, you can't cast that spell on these type of units because this sort of thing. No, I know you can because this and this FAQ on this thing over there. There's a lot of arguing back and forth of like how to actually play the game. So like, even they've got these big thick rule books. It's like, okay, well on page 38A, like this section over here says this thing, and it's like, I just want to play the game. I don't think HeroClix is nearly like that complicated. You kind of have your powers and they all do different things, but it's kind of like,
No, I would say outside of X-Wing, because I know we've been talking about it a lot in the chat.
Yeah.
Outside of X-Wing, if you wanted to do like an army style thing, HeroClix is probably the second easiest to play and to get into.
Yeah.
HeroClix is very simple to play, and so HeroClix it's another good intro game.
Yeah, for sure. And that's another one that scales well. You can just be like, okay, we're just going to play like 100 points. Or if you want to go hardcore, you can be like, let's play like 600 points with all the guys, you know. So that's another cool thing about a lot of these games is you can scale how big of a game you really want to play. So you can make it be shorter or longer, depending on what you want to do. But yeah, I agree. Like money, all of these games are pretty expensive and ridiculous. Did you freeze, Rob? Are you still there? No. Technical difficulties, guys. Robert Newman just hung up on me. I don't think he hung up. I think the call dropped. Let's try again. And chat goes wild. Ah. So yeah, super exciting stuff here. Yeah, it's like acting like he lives in South Carolina. He's pulling a Stephen Avery on me right now. Awesome. Guys in chat, are there any miniature games that you guys have played or things that you guys are excited about as far as miniatures games go? Try to keep it a little bit entertaining. Solo mode Roy. It's hard to podcast solo when you've planned to ask Rob a bunch of questions. No, I'm just kidding. Mark, are you actually in South Carolina? I thought you were in Charlotte. Maybe you are on the south of the border. Nice. Emerson has played Warhammer and HeroClix. Is that regular Warhammer, like Warhammer Fantasy, or 40K? One more time.
What happened?
You left me. I have been abandoned.
I did not leave.
I said something wrong,
and
you just got real mad about it. I don't know what's going on.
I did not leave. No, I'm here. I'm here, boo. You're not my boo.
That's Adam.
But yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess we can go right into the next question. Do you paint your miniatures? I know I saw some pictures of where you're starting to practice painting up some of your zombie side to get ready for your Rune Wars stuff.
Yeah. No. Some of the pictures did not turn out well. I think the zombies look better in person, but I'm excited.
It's really hard to take pictures of painted miniatures sometimes.
Yeah. I will say this, though. Back when we were going to cost on the last, I started to talk about Game of Thrones.
Oh, gotcha. Well, we missed all of that.
Or
so
the Song of Ice and Fire. So, Mark, you will never be a fill host. Don't worry about that. We will never ask you to be a fill-in host. You won't have that burden. Don't worry about it, big guy. We appreciate it, but it's not going to happen.
Talk to me after the show, Mark. No, I'm just kidding.
No, don't. Listen, you'll have plenty of Mark all over you on Saturday, August 5th. So here, okay. So yes, is it $150? Absolutely. But when you compare everything that's coming in that game compared to other miniature games, for example, I just got 3 copies of Rune Wars. Why did I get 3 copies of Rune Wars? Because some dude was selling them for $50 a piece. However, when you go to buy a copy of Rune Wars retail, it's $100 right now. Yeah. You only get 48 miniatures. So you're paying a little over $2 per miniature. In Game of Thrones, so $100, 48 miniatures. In a Game of Thrones or a Song of Ice and Fire, You get 103 miniatures and all the other stuff. Now you get other stuff too in Rune Wars, but you get 100. Well, that's for the Kickstarter stuff. Right. But I'm just saying for like the base set, you get 103 miniatures. So you're spending, what's that? Let's just do $150 150 divided by 103. So you're basically spending $1.46 per miniature, where at 100 miniatures divided by 48, you're spending $2.09 per miniature on Fantasy Flight. Here's one of the other things. I think I don't know how they're going to do for the Song of Ice and Fire. They've talked about doing a new mold, but these Fantasy Flight guys that I got, the spears are bendy. It's not super strong, not like the Warhammer games where the Warhammer your components are solid.
Yeah, Rune Wars is like PVC, kind of like board game. Style
it is
stuff,
not.
Games Workshop is like hard plastic.
Yes, and so here's the other thing. I also really like the IP of Game of Thrones, and I think it was very smart on Cool Mini or Not to release the Kickstarter during the Game of Thrones season. Because anybody that watched Sunday's episode, as soon as Khaleesi told Jon...
Don't spoiler! Come on, man!
Oh, hey, spoiler alert.
No, don't... Hey, I haven't watched it.
It was in the trailer for what's coming up this episode. They meet. I won't say what they talk about, but they meet. Let me tell you, after that episode, I got on the Kickstarter and I just looked at it for like a good 20 minutes, just like, all right, man, can I go ahead and spend this money? Like, can I go ahead and spend this money? And so I appreciate what Cool Mini or Not is doing. I know it's a lot of money. $150 is a lot of money, but I feel like I'm definitely getting a lot more bang for my buck. And I also like some of the rules a little bit better on A Song of Ice and Fire compared to Rune Wars. Like I like some of their moving mechanics.
Things to like about the different games. Both there's good things that are better than each other in each one. So, but yeah.
Well, see, it's the pivot thing. I love the pivot action in A Song of Ice and Fire. I hate that in Rune Wars you have to spend a whole action to turn your guys to the left or the right.
Yeah,
like I think that's
movement's
dumb.
a lot more like you have to strategize your movement. In Song of Ice and Fire, you literally just move up to the other guys. Like there's like literally
just move.
There's basically nothing that's stopping you from moving wherever you want. Like ever really. I mean, you pivot before or after your movement, and yeah, you just go wherever you want for the most part.
And see, that's another thing that I like about it is also in A Song of Ice and Fire, the card play seems to add a lot more to the game, where you're kind of getting a deck builder card game. Maybe not to that extreme, but you're getting to play that take that cards as well as your minis doing stuff. Trenton, you first of all, we have a new person in the chat tonight. Trenton Hedgerhorse. Let me tell you about this. This dude is a sexy beast. I don't know what he looks like, but his avatar is on point. And he's talking about how handsome I am. And I 100% agree with you, Trenton. So thank you so much. You are beautiful, beautiful soul. But anyway,
I think
so
the
when it comes to price,
I think Kickstarter is probably definitely worth it at this point because they've added a couple extra units in there, and they just added Ned Stark as well. So
yes, and here's the thing, man. I think like if they keep adding units, I'm not getting excited for the additional characters like the Ned Starks. Like Ned Stark is cool. But the one that we just unlocked, or they just unlocked, which I'll eventually jump on, but the one that they just unlocked was the Longbowman for House Stark.
So you got some range units now. So that's good.
So I'm going to be paying $150, and by the time it's all said and done, I'm going to have close to 130 plus minis. Like, that's really amazing. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck. And that's one of the things that worries me about Rune Wars. Now, I just bought a lot of Rune Wars, but again, I got it at a fantastic deal. But Fantasy Flight has a history of pulling games, and I think they're kind of like the Sci-Fi Channel, where they pull games too quickly. Sci-Fi Channel, closed a lot of shows too quickly. I think Fantasy Flight kind of does that with some of their bigger games. Like if they don't make a certain mark on their first or second wave, then there's really not going to be any third wave, and it's just not going to happen.
Well, they're definitely pushing Rune Wars hard because they've announced so much stuff for it, and the 2 other factions as well. So we'll see. It definitely hasn't calmed down yet.
They also pushed Battlelore hard. They even came out with an iOS
not even
app.
close to nearly as like there are so many updates about Rune Wars on their website constantly. Like people who don't play Rune Wars are like upset by how much like stuff they keep talking about it.
And that could be the fact. I'm not following their website. To know all of that stuff. But I do remember they pushed other games and they were hype and they were excited and they announced other factions for other games. Yeah. And then we're like, yes, this is fantastic. And then nope, crickets, you don't hear anything. They remove any type of news whatsoever from their website. And then they're discontinuing the game. And so I know about Cool Mini or Not. Cool Mini or Not, they are, if you were to give Cool Mini or Not a sin for anything, they are definitely gluttony. They will shove it down your throat until you cannot eat anymore. They will just continue to shove zombie side stuff down your throat. Any other type of big Kickstarter campaign that they try to get going down your throat. I mean, they believe in their products and they support their products. And I know like the Kickstarter right now for A Song of Ice and Fire is not doing so hot compared to like their zombie side stuff. That's also because it's a miniatures game. It's not going to be in the same level. Yeah. However, I feel a lot stronger that they're going to have a strong support system for this and a strong support like tournament scene. Like I would probably go to A Song of Ice and Fire tournament. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And also Eric Lang is on this, bro. Eric Lang is helping design this stuff. So I don't know. We were talking about money. I'm saying all this out loud so I convince myself to go ahead and back it and also get some of those. And here's the other thing, man. Here's one thing I don't like about miniatures games. The terrain. For example, you got Rune Wars, you got these awesome 3D minis, and then you get these little cardboard terrain pieces. Mm-hmm. Song of Ice and Fire has got these 3D terrains that you could get. I would buy it just so I could get that. The terrain looks great. I love it when the world comes alive, when it pops off the page, pops off the table. Sorry, I'll be quiet for a second.
It's cool. You're starting to sound like Tim over there.
Tim. Don't ever call me Tim. What did Tim say?
No, I'm just saying, shilling for the game pretty hard.
Oh, no, that's just because... Oh, you're talking about that Timothy Gay. I thought you were talking about somebody else.
No.
You know who I thought you were talking about.
No.
Yeah. No, I really just like the IP. I'm a big fan of the IP. So
yeah, I still want to see more stuff for it, man. I want to see some crazy things. Where's the crazy things at? I don't know if it'll be in the Kickstarter. Maybe after the Kickstarter. So
here's my prediction for the show. In that first scene, when it shows all the White Walkers and the 3 White Walker giants, the very one in the back is Hodor. Hodor. Yeah. Spoiler alert. That's my prediction. Hodor is an Ice Walker.
He got turned to an Ice Walker, but he got way bigger as well.
Well, he was in the back. We don't know necessarily how big he was. They didn't show the one up front. Talking about one in the back.
Nice. Awesome. So back to painting your miniatures. Do you have a lot of experience with painting different miniatures?
Nope. No. And I'm not that good at it, but it's fun. I also like to do it because it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I'm going to do later tonight. I'm just going to put on some music, or I'm not even going to put on music. I'm going to put on The Office, which The Office, I've seen it so many times. It's like music to me. And I'm just going to chill, man. Mm-hmm. It's been a crazy day anyway. And so, yeah, it's just my therapy. I'm not good. It's fun. It looks better than what comes out of the box. But I wouldn't charge anybody for it unless they felt really sorry for me. And they were like, I'll pay you.
Yeah, I definitely put podcasts
on super cathartic
to paint different things like that. My friend that got me into Warhammer 40K taught me a lot about like painting and like how to paint different things, and it was awesome because like he gave me like a lot of good tips and like hooked me up with some paint and stuff like that when I first started. But then like I painted some things up and like tried to make them look as good as I can, and like I was like, hey man, look what I did. He's like, it's okay man, we can strip them down, we can start over. And like I didn't think they were that bad. But it was pretty fun. And I mean, you can paint all sorts of different stuff, not just your like miniatures, but there's tons of amazing miniatures in board games. Like I painted the miniatures for Adrenaline for Mark Street. Like those look great, and I've done my Battle Lore stuff and Mansions of Madness stuff. My problem is it takes so long to paint things well, you know, that I just don't have the time. And there's so many people that are just like really good at like doing it faster than I am. But for me to like make it look decent, it's like very
here's the thing,
little
though.
things and all that stuff. So
here's the thing, like, don't worry about those other people. Like, are you trying to sell your minis?
Nope.
Are you trying to like?
I'm just trying to get a game done. Like I always get distracted and never finish a game.
Well, like don't worry about comparing your product to others. It's fun. You do a good job. You know you're talented. Like just don't worry about competing against the professional mini painters.
Right. And I think a lot of people like they paint minis and they paint like tons of them, and I'm like I do a bunch of other stuff too. I'd rather play the game any day than paint the miniatures. So but it's a good way to do like the hobby side of it. That's a lot of fun, is being able to just sit back and mess with the game when you're not playing the game, you know? So I feel like that hobby part of it's really fun. So if anybody's interested in like painting their board game miniatures or their miniature games miniatures, there is so many resources online, like to like watch videos and tutorials, and a lot of people that try to break it down and make it really easy for like beginners. So definitely like check it out. And you can go to like Hobby Lobby or whatever and get some Vallejo paints. They're like pretty cheap there, especially if you get like 40% off coupons to go in there and like get some paints and different things like that. It's not bad at all. So you can start painting your miniatures and making them look awesome. Do you have any other tips or anything for people painting their stuff?
If I could give any tips, which they're not, you know, take it with a grain of salt because I really don't know what I'm doing. I would say try to pick out your color scheme beforehand, like know kind of in your mind's eye how you want them to look, and just see how you like doing generic painting. Don't try to necessarily go with all the detail at first, but see how you like the generic painting, and also see how your brushes work. You know, that's one thing. Like I ended up buying some nicer, smaller brushes because when you just try to buy with like paint with my little daughter's paint set, it's not the same.
Yeah, you definitely need to have those like super tiny brushes, like zeros and like double zeros and stuff like that, tiny little brushes. So, and they'll help you out a lot. The way I paint, I think, is a lot different than like the way a lot of people paint. I know a lot of people like painted in all the colors or whatever, and then they like do the different shades and stuff like that, or they dip it in the shade and like it goes into the recesses, and that's like a really good way to do it, that a lot of people do. My way of painting is weird. Like I prime the whole model black, and then I just paint and avoid like the crevices and keep the black like deep in the crevices and stuff like that. And I think my stuff looks kind of like sketchy or like coloring bookish. Like somebody said it looks like my stuff looks like, I don't know, it looks weird because it's got like lots of like black borders around everything. I think it looks like a tattoo because a lot of tattoos they do like black outlines around everything and then like color it in. I don't know, I like my characters to have that like deep dark recesses in them. I just like the way it looks, and then I just like dry brush everything on top of that. And if you dry brush, it'll like keep it from going into the crevices. So like have a bigger brush or something, and like not have a lot of paint on there, and like just go across the top of it so it doesn't get in the crevices and stuff like that. I think it like turns out really good, especially when you're doing like different like fur or different like skin things, because it'll keep it dark in like the corners of the muscles and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. There's tons of different tips on different ways to paint. So, but yeah.
Sweet, man.
Yeah, so are there any miniatures games that you wish you could play or learn to play that you haven't played before?
That I have not played before? No, but there are, like, I wish I would have kept or held on to my 40K stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I just
it's so
I don't
expensive.
know. Well, it is expensive, but I enjoyed it, and it's just it's a pretty game. I mean, even with my terrible paint job, which it wasn't terrible. I had this like one huge jet that I painted all black, and then I drew the Punisher skull on the bottom of it, so as it flew over its enemies, like you saw the Punisher skull. That was really cool. I ended up selling that thing for like $70 or $80.
Yeah.
Because of the paint job. But anyway, it was fun. I'm not a big minis guy. I mean, I played it a couple times. It's fun. The only thing is, it's like it's tough because like finding board gamers is already kind of tough unless you know where to look, right? Like under the right rocks, you can find a board gamer. Well, under those rocks, you now have to find miniature gamers, and those rocks are a lot smaller.
Yeah, and I mean, unless you're going to like the actual tournaments, and we don't have.
But even when those tournaments happen,
that much here,
like locally, it's maybe a handful of people that play in your area, and they don't always all play at the same time. Where like you can go to a card shop or a board game shop and find people playing on a regular basis. Now they may be playing the same games over and over, but still you can find other people to play with.
You could go to the Warhammer 40K store that's right around the corner and find people to play all the time, but it would be so expensive. Like I look at all the models in there and I'm like, man, these things are amazing.
Last two times I've gone in there, they're not playing. There's nobody in there playing.
Oh, really? I wonder if they do it on like specific nights. I've gone in there a couple times when they're playing. It's probably better that you go in there when they're not playing.
It probably is.
Because if you go in there when they're playing, they won't ring you up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really wish that I could play the Games Workshop has the Lord of the Rings like fantasy game.
Oh man,
some of the miniatures for that look so good, like the Balrog and like all these Nazgul.
Yes.
Like they've got like miniatures of like the ring race like on top of the Nazgul. It's like, oh yeah, how much is that? It's like $90 for like it's crazy because like these miniatures games, they come non-assembled, they come on sprues, but you pay tons of money for this completely unassembled stuff, and I'm just like, that's just like plastic put into a mold. I'm sure the mold costs a lot of money to make, but why are these things so expensive? Like it's just a thing that they just are that expensive.
Well, it's also so expensive because they're not printing as many.
I guess.
Like, but it makes a big difference. Print runs are a lot cheaper when you can print 1 million plus of a product. Or like, let's say 100,000. They could sell 1 million plus of them if they weren't a bajillion dollars. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Because, I mean, some of those Lord of the Rings things, if they weren't so expensive, I'd just be like, holy crap, I'll just buy that just to put together and try to paint because it would look awesome. But I'd really like to play that game. I would like to try out, like, War Machine just to try it, I don't think that I would ever get into it, but I'd like to play it. There's another, like, superhero game. They had like Marvel and DC. It's made by like I think Night Games or something like that, but they have like hobby miniatures that you can paint up and stuff like that, and that game looked kind of interesting. I would like to try that out. Just like I would like to try a lot of games just to be able to say like, oh yeah, I played that, that's cool, or this compares to this in this way or whatever. But the one I'm really looking forward to, and the one that looks really exciting, is that a company is coming out with Fallout 3 miniatures game. And the thing that looks super interesting about that is it's got like a whole bunch of like the different Fallout guys, like the different robots and like super mutants and like the guys in their powered armor and stuff like that. It looks great for Fallout. But like it has cooperative modes, which seems really interesting to me. Like to be able to play a cooperative miniatures game. That sounds crazy. So, and that's not out yet. So that would be the reason why I wouldn't be able to play that. But someday that might be out.
Yes, Christopher Cooper. Sorry, I know you were talking about something else, but I think Chris and I, we're about to become good friends, and we're both going to play Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire together.
Nice. Yeah. So do you think that the line between miniatures games and board games is being blurred?
What do you mean though by being blurred? Like,
do you think there's more like they're becoming like there's board games that are more miniatures games like and miniatures games that are more board game like? I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire. I mean, it's got a lot of like it's completely like it doesn't have as much of the hobby aspects. Like all the models are like put together completely, and it's got a lot of like board gamey things with like different boards and things like that for your different intrigue and things like that, and your decks of cards and different objective tokens and things like that, or different objective decks that you run around and reveal objectives on and things like that.
But see, I also think that's just a casualty of the hobby becoming or the hobby evolving into better things. I mean, look at board games now, where my favorite board game of all time, I can't play without an app. You know, would you ever said back in the day that you're going to need a computer to play your board game or a computer program to play your board game? Like, for example, when that Spectre Ops app ever comes out by 2019, you know, by then we'll have Spectre Ops 3 out. But still, the fact that you need an app to play with your board game, it's just an evolution of the miniature game where they've taken the best thing of the miniature game and now they're adding in some of the best components of other games. I don't know if I would have gotten as excited for these other games had they not had the cards and other stuff.
Do you think Battlelore 2nd Edition, is that a miniatures game or a board game? What would you consider that?
See, to me, I consider Battlelore a board-based miniatures game. It's like a Risk.
I would say because you're 2nd Edition is like right on the line, you know, because
you have
the point buy for like your armies and things like that. I feel like the older Command and Colors games, or even like maybe the Game of Thrones one, is more of a board game, you know. But the second edition,
I think it's the hexagon stuff that kind of throws me off in saying that it is a board game. To me, a miniatures game is something that is free. It is freeing. You have your mat and you can go wherever you want to go on your mat. Type of a thing.
For calling it a miniatures game.
Yeah, like Battlelore, the hexagon mat does not make it a miniatures game to me. Just like Mansions of Madness.
So what about
you can move all around the board? You've got minis and you're moving around the board. It's not a miniatures game, it's a board game.
So what about HeroClix?
HeroClix, to me, it's right on the line. You know, it's right on the line. The only reason, I don't know.
I mean, it's a
the only reason I would say
game
HeroClix is not a board game is because it does not come with a board.
It's a collectible game and an army point buying game or team point buying game. So it's definitely there in that miniatures category. I think board games.
Descent.
I think board games are more like self-contained things. Miniatures games, another thing that differentiates them from board games is the fact that you can continue to buy like army upgrade pieces and things like that a lot of the time. So, but yeah. So if there is, I also want chat to get in on this with me too and answer the question in chat. If you could play a tabletop miniatures game with any IP ever, what would it be? Are you going to say the same thing you always say about IPs?
Which one?
The Netflix show.
The Netflix show? No.
Stranger Things would make an awesome miniatures game. Fighting off demigorgons.
No, you go first. I'm responding to chat real quick.
Awesome. As far as an IP, I mean, there's a ton of IPs that are really cool. I would have said the Fallout thing, but there's so many that have already been done.
Mine is, I've said it before. Do you remember what I've said in the past?
For a miniatures game? The Matrix again?
Well, yeah, not the
Matrix miniatures game. That would be awesome.
The Matrix miniatures game would be amazing, and that's mine. I think the Matrix miniatures were like you got the ships and then you have the humans running around outside of the ships.
I would want it to be like real world Matrix as opposed to like inside the Matrix. Or you'd want it to have both.
No, that's what I'm saying though. That's what I'm saying. You could do it kind of like a Stranger Things where you have an upside down and you flip the board over and then you've got the Matrix world.
But that wouldn't be a miniatures game. That would be a board game if you have the board, right?
No, I'm saying your mat, or you have two different mats. Like one's in a virtual setting and the other one's in the real world setting. I mean, that's one of the cool things about a miniatures game, man, is you can you're not limited to a freaking board. So you're not limited to basing a game and movement around the same components all over the time. You can do it on a table. You don't even need a board. You can make it whatever you want it. And so I just think the Matrix IP or a Star Wars miniatures game, a Star Wars Clone Wars miniature game would be absolutely astronomical. That would be huge.
Mad Max miniatures game where you're driving around crazy cars and blowing each other up.
I mean, it would be fun. I'd play it. I don't know if... Yeah.
Steve Jackson Games has Car Wars, which has these different.
Yeah, but they also did Munchkin. Move on from Steve Jackson. They also did Munchkin. We're not allowed to talk about Steve Jackson.
Rob just hates on publishers sometimes, just for no reason. But yeah, they have a car game, but that's more like a car role playing game than a miniatures game, I would think.
Yeah.
I think to be a miniatures game, you have to control more than one unit, I would think, right?
I believe so. I don't know all the rules. I like the way things look, and I want to play with them.
Yeah.
I want to kiss you all over.
I don't even know what's going on right now.
Over again.
Awesome. Yeah, so lots of awesome IPs. Were there any IPs in chat that they said would be great that I missed, Rob?
All right, we've got Game of Thrones from Mark, it's called A Song of Ice and Fire. It's coming out, Mark.
You're not allowed to say Game of Thrones.
Predators, The Matrix, which Emerson and I are both on The Matrix, so he's amazing. I already knew that. Stranger Things, which I think would be a better RPG. I would love, though, to do an RPG of Stranger Things. I've never really gotten into RPGs, but I want to really badly. Just that creativity in me is really just want to go crazy. Starship Troopers, I think that would be a really fun miniatures game. That would be a really great miniatures game.
Dude, I would play the crap out of a miniatures
Fury
game.
Road.
Yeah.
A baseball mini game like Guild Ball. Mm-hmm. Halo could be the video game Halo. That could be a good one.
I would play a ton of if they ever came out with some miniature games based off some crazy animes, because there's a lot of animes out there. I know I say that a lot, but I would play the crap out of a Naruto miniatures game. I know everybody's
bro, what if they did a Dragon Ball Z miniatures game?
It would be awesome to have a crossover miniatures game where they just took a whole bunch of those really popular animes, had Goku in them and Naruto and frickin' Full Metal Alchemist, mix them all together so I could make a killing on that. So, I don't know.
Man, we totally need to do a meetup one time with one of our not one of our fans, but our fans. Next time we're all going to go to a big con that fans are going to go to. We need to do maybe the day before the con or the day after the con.
Just set aside time to hang
where we
out.
just set time and we all play games, or maybe we do our own epic RPG. I just think it'd be a lot of fun to kill off Mark in all these crazy, fantastic ways. In an RPG and get an Adam in there and an
Attack
Ambi
on Titan miniatures game. That would be. I mean, you could have a ton of Titans though. There are a ton of Titans every single time. There's only a few characters, but every single time you see that show, there's a ton of Titans destroying stuff, and then there's just a few people trying to go and attack them all. That could be rough, dude.
That'd be fun.
I've been watching the second season of that, and I forgot how creepy those Titans are. They're just weird.
Oh, where's the second season at now? Is it online? You're watching it online?
Yeah, you can see it on Crunchyroll and stuff like that. So, just different streaming services. But yeah, I don't think they have it on Netflix yet. And you have to do subs or whatever.
I don't care about the subs. I can read fast.
Nice.
That's
exactly it.
I want to go to the bathroom.
Awesome, man. Well, this has been the end of the episode. So thanks everybody for coming and hanging out.
Man, this was fun.
Yeah. We still miss Matt. Matt, come back to us.
We do miss Matt. Miss Matt a lot.
But yeah, so we'll be going to Mega MooseCon this Saturday. So if you're in the Carolina area, make sure to stop by and say hey. Just stop by, say hey, and then leave. That'd be fun. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we stream these Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. We also want to say thanks to all of our amazing patrons over on Patreon. You guys help us do the show. We want to say a couple yes for Matt. Yeah. So if you want to help support Epic Gaming Night, make sure to go to patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. And also make sure to hit us up on our YouTube channel if you ever want to see us do these live. So, and you can always go back and see all the past episodes of different things like that. So lots of fun things going on there. And yeah, thanks so much for coming out. It's been a blast.
Yeah, always a blast. Appreciate our fans. Appreciate where you're going. And hey, listen, we are coming up with new Patreon ideas, so don't think that has slowed down at all or anything like that. We're coming up with some crazy ideas, and so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I still want to do a Patreon pledge of reviewing Pogs because I think that'd be hilarious. Have you ever played Pogs, Rob?
Bro, so long ago.
I think it'd be funny to make you play Pogs and then review it.
I mean, I'd play. It's the one where you hit the things and they flip over.
Yeah, it's really dumb, but like for some reason, like that was all the rage back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Awesome, guys. Peace.
Oh, hey, also real quick, for those that were interested in the giveaway, we're gonna do it next week because I was gonna do my giveaway with Matt. And his giveaway stuff. So,
or if you want to get one before next week, you can just go to Board Game Geek and get one off the Google Doc that's there.
Yes. Yes, there is a giveaway, Emerson. Matt and I got our Raxon games, and I gave one to Matt, and so we've got 5 Raxon email things we'll be giving away. I'm missing next week, Ambi. Oh, Ambi.
Ambi already has an invite to that.
Yeah. Ambi, just tell everybody who you are. They will give you multiple copies. Yeah. So, anyway, next week, giveaway.
Awesome,
Boom.
guys. Well, thanks, everybody in chat. You guys are awesome. Thanks for stopping by.
Everybody but Mark Kill is fantastic.
Yeah, Rob's got me kind of creeped out about going to Mega
Bro,
Boost.
don't be creeped out.
I might not be there.
You signed up for that relationship.
I didn't sign up for anything. This is all one way as far as him to me.
I was talking. I was like, hey, Mark, so blah, blah, blah. Soon as Roy came in, it was just like that song I was singing earlier. It's like his eyes got real big and his mouth started watering. I was like, I'm going to kiss you all
It's kind of like that
you
know, when someone has a crush on you, but you don't feel the same way? No, I'm just kidding. You're like, they're okay as a person, but like you're not like actually attracted to them. I'm just kidding.
Oh, Adam, real quick, it's not just cuddling. It is not just cuddling, buddy.
I don't even know what's going on now.
He's gonna come home with like a bunch of hickeys, and his wife is gonna be like, "What did you do?" And he's just gonna start crying.
Rob, you're not allowed on the show anymore. You're starting to go too far. Too far.
Hickeys are too far?
I'm gonna ban Mark just so I don't have to hear it anymore. Just kidding.
It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have fun. I'm excited for this weekend. It's gonna be good stuff.
Yay!
All right, I got painting to do.
Peace.
I'll see you guys.